It is 5 p.m. Hello there, good evening. Welcome to Starr today here on Starr 103.5 FM. And coming up this evening, majority vows to trigger another recall of Parliament following another indefinite suspension of proceedings by the Speaker of the House. Meanwhile, Tamale Central MP Ibrahim Murtala Mohammed has shockingly revealed a whopping 1 million cedis is spent on a single sitting of the House amid accusations NPP MPs have caused financial loss to the state.
This particular sitting was not called by the NDC. It was the NPP. So the question is, why did they waste all of us our time? It comes with a huge financial burden to the state. Because if I tell you, one day sitting, particularly in circumstances like this, Parliament would spend close to 1 million or more than 1 million Ghana cedis.
Also in this bulletin, we have more on that for you shortly, plus some expert analysis. Now, the largest opposition NDC justifies decision to reject final certified voter register, insisting Electoral Commission must provide a summary of voter statistics.
Well, we'll hear from a political scientist on this development as well and the way forward. We've got details of these and more in the bulletin tonight. Stay with us.
Starr News is coming to you live on Ultimate 106.9 FM in Kumasi, Empire 102.7 FM in Takrady, Cool 103.5 FM in Ho, Rage and Might FM in Tamale, Somali FM in Wa, My Star Radio in the USA. Also live on Facebook on Starr 103.5 FM and on starfm.com.gh around the world. This is Starr 103.5 FM.
Grateful for your company this evening and welcome aboard Ghana's most comprehensive news analysis program, Starr today here on Starr 103.5 FM. Tonight, as always, we're streaming live on Facebook, so you can join us with your thoughts, your comments, your views and contributions to the stories we will be tackling tonight on Facebook at facebook.com/Starr 103.5 FM. I am Joshua Kodjo Mensah and I'm here with
Tutuwaa Danso. We start off the bulletin in Parliament, and the majority caucus in Parliament has served notice of its intention to trigger another recall of Parliament. This follows the Speaker's decision to once again suspend proceedings indefinitely, citing the absence of members of the NPP caucus in the chamber, the potential chaos that characterized the last sitting, where the NDC caucus laid claims to the majority status, existed today when they occupy the right side of the Speaker. The Speaker of Parliament, after taking his seat, abruptly once again suspended the meeting indefinitely, citing the absence of the NPP MPs.
And it was quite interesting. It was an interesting sight in Parliament this morning because, I mean, when you listen to both sides, both the NPP and NDC caucuses of Parliament, now we don't know who is majority or minority.
Well, if we are sticking to the Supreme Court's ruling,
then the NPP has majority.
Exactly. They have the numbers.
Exactly. But the NDC caucus says, well, per the understanding of that particular ruling, among others, they are also the majority caucus in Parliament. And it makes it interesting.
You know what baffles me? Yesterday, we all heard the speaker when he said that it doesn't matter who sits on his left-hand side or on his right-hand side. He can decide that, you know what, those on my left are the majority today. I don't know what if the NPP MPs didn't hear that and decided that once the NDC side had taken their seat on the right-hand side of the speaker, it means that they had once again defied the Supreme Court's ruling, which I find pretty interesting. And the most, I dare say on air, annoying aspects of all of this is that the NPP MPs decided not to show up.
Well, we'll come back to that, but let's take a listen to the speaker.
Unfortunately, the signatories who made the request have not shown up, and therefore matters that they wanted us to handle, which are admitted for the consideration of the business committee, are not on the order paper, and in fact there's no order paper for today because the business committee could not meet due to the absence of the people who requested for the recall. And as you can see, one side of the house is completely empty. In view of this, we have, as usual, got a quorum to sit, but we have no business before us to transact, because the business committee, as you know, they prepare a report, and this report is adopted by the House as business agreed by the House to transact during the course of the week. In the absence of that, there is no other authority that can put business before you which you have not adopted to transact. In view of the failure of the business committee to sit, as a result of the refusal of those who requested for the recall to show up, we are compelled to once again adjourn the sitting of the House. Knowing the challenges we are facing, it is not advisable to be adjourning from day to day. And so I'll proceed once more to adjourn the meeting indefinitely. And the meeting, this extraordinary meeting, is accordingly adjourned.
So that's the speaker today, adjourning the House again. And from what we hear, Parliament would have to what? On the 15th or 14th of November, this session. Well, okay. Matters are rising. Well, the NDC caucus, through its leader, Dr. Kasela, to force and question the basis for the recall of Parliament by the NPP MPs if they were not ready to be in the chamber. Listen to him.
I personally called the committee clerk, and I was informed that she's out of the jurisdiction and no one has reached out to him, to her, to program the business of the day. I was worried and reached out also to the MPP side and to have an indication as to what their plan is. No one responded. I am deeply worried and deeply concerned that the very people that requested for Parliament to be recalled failed to show up. Clearly, what we are seeing here is an abuse of the Constitution and the standing orders of Ghana's Parliament. the NPP minority caucus have indeed caused financial loss to the state and to us, the NDC members of parliament, and to the people of Ghana. We say this because these recalls cost Ghana money. This is not the first time that they have done this. They've done this a couple of times, but we see nothing than disrespect. We call on the people of Ghana to see the behavior of the NPP and punish them accordingly. They have certainly, everything shows that the NPP are tired, they are fed up, and they are not ready to work for the people. They are ready for the people. They are bereft of ideas, and they are short of vision. They cannot solve the suffering of the people. All what they do out there during campaigns, in spite of the hardship, is to sing and dance Osisifia. That's all what they do. In times like this, when the ordinary Ghanaian is struggling to survive, they are dancing and singing Osisifia.
Tutuwaa.
Yes.
Is your Sisifia?
I'm not campaigning, so. But let's still stay on this development because the Member of Parliament for Danso and the Minister for Trade and Industry, Katie Hammond, had some harsh words for the Speaker of Parliament, accusing him of defying the orders of the Supreme Court. He threatened the former Nadoli Kaliu MP is a candidate for contempt of the Supreme Court and impeachments.
The Speaker made a ruling. Yes. It was unconstitutional. It was unlawful. By any account, it was illegal. The Supreme Court, contrary to the assertion by he himself and some members of the minority who keep proclaiming from high roofs and high heaven that the Parliament is a master of its own rules and regulations, the Supreme Court is told Babi and Parliament that you are not. There is an institution which is the master of the rules of Parliament. And that this is what the law is. That you cannot make the decision, the proclamation that you made. I call it because you think he's a king, he's whatever, he's a lord unto himself. But you made a ruling. It is not right. Supreme Court is telling you it is not right. Go back to that house. Can I not complete? Can I not complete? I should complete. Go back there. Honorable to do what? Yes. It will be the interest of Ghanaians for the Speaker. To respect the ruling of the Supreme Court. Come back to this side rather than continuously and then
not disrespected.
He is disrespecting the ruling of the Supreme Court.
4 MPs
you are
have been disallowed from coming in.
You are not listening.
No, when did any of the 4 MPs come in and they were asked not to come in? Because today the second deputy speaker's aide has been in the chamber, but the second deputy speaker himself has not been inside.
You may want to take some medication. Yes, it has no point shouting when you are ignorant of the matter. What it is this: it's not for the 4 people to simply show up. The Speaker has made a ruling barring them from coming to the Parliament. Supreme Court is reversed it. It is for the Speaker to sit up there and tell the House that his decision has been reversed, and so
say reverse if you are not seated. You say you are going to cite the Speaker for contempt.
That's not properly.
I mean, you are going to.
How would the Speaker reverse his decision?
Again, I'm saying that you either want to take leave of yourself.
Katie Hammond, today he was quite on fire.
He was clearly peeved.
Yeah.
Not just at the Speaker of Parliament, but also media men who were asking him questions. He was just asking them to either listen to him and keep quiet with what he calls their ignorance, or just stop the interview, which I thought was pretty unfortunate.
Well, Katie Hammond, I mean, this tangent is not new to him. I mean, if you followed him closely, he gets carried away sometimes. And today he was quite
clearly carried away.
And he held the firm view that Speaker Bagbin was in contempt of the Supreme Court, and so the NPP caucus cannot be a part of what is happening. But that was also re-echoed by the leader of the caucus, Alexander Apenyo Markin. So let's take a brief listen to that press conference he also held, the NPP MPs held right after what happened in Parliament. And interestingly, Cynthia Morrison, Aguna West,
she was there.
Well, I'm an MPP MP.
Were you surprised to see her?
Quite a bit. But you know what? We'll talk about her right after this.
We should.
And that, should we inform me that they had engaged, had the opportunity to also meet with them. Understanding I had from the meeting as a equal meeting they had already held with Mr. Speaker, resume or should Parliament reconvene, the NDC minority will go back to their seats. Several other prominent Ghanaians who, for some good reasons I would not want to mention their names, who had engaged Speaker on this matter, had also reached out to us, the majority caucus, and assured us that Mr. Speaker's engagement with them resulted in he admitting that indeed there was no such ruling, which ruling would now proclaim the NDC as a so-called new majority. Now, from the horse's own mouth, granted that all these prominent people misrepresented to us, the majority. Yesterday, Mr. Speaker himself, in his press conference in the afternoon, enumerated a number of things. Amongst them, he said he had not made a ruling. He told the whole of the country that he had not made a ruling. So, if he claims that what he did was a formal communication in response to a statement from the minority leader, then why is he supervising chaos in the House? What Mr. Speaker did today amount to supervising chaos and bringing the image of democracy to disrepute. Yes. The NDC minority members were all over claiming that we, the majority, did not attend a so-called business committee meeting that they called. Who are they? When did we constitute a new committee in Parliament? I chair the business committee of Parliament. And when the clerk to Parliament asked for the business committee meeting, I was very explicit that the subject matter of the recall, which was approved by Mr. Speaker, is a very matter for consideration. So there's no need to have another business committee. Business committee is to decide on the business of the House. On this occasion, you have made an application, which application has been granted. And the items that were approved were the very things to be decided on. So I directed that the order paper should be printed to reflect all those items. Fortunately, Mr. Speaker himself read the two letters. The first one and the second one that amended the first, and indicated to the whole country that indeed our deputy majority whip, the second deputy majority whip, had actually sent those letters to him. He acknowledged him as such. Clearly, the NDC is on a warpath. They want confusion in this country. They want lawlessness in this country. And all these are being supervised by Mr. Speaker.
Yes.
It is sad. It is very sad. And I would want to entreat you, the media, to call them out, to call the NDC out, to call Mr. Speaker out. Because what is it? What at all is the issue?
So that's Alexander Kwamna Penyomakin, majority leader, also leader of the NPP caucus, and he doesn't like to be called the leader of the NPP caucus. He doesn't like it.
He wants to be in trouble.
Majority leader
yes.
Alexander Kwamna Penyomakin. Dr. Kasela Tutuwaa is waiting for you. Well, I mean, for us, like you were saying, I was a bit surprised to see Cynthia Morrison, because she
exactly where she was
had
standing
indicated in an interview that yes, she's going independent. In fact, when news went viral about the attack on her people and all of that, she also intimated that, you know what, regardless of all these, I am running as an independent candidate. But today we saw her by the side of the MPs for the NPP side, and a question was posed to her, and in response she says, well, yes, I'm an MP, we know. Yes. But going into the election, that is different. Ibrahim Al-Hassan is our man in Parliament. He's joined us to have a conversation on this. Ibrahim, today, I mean, when going to Parliament today, did you anticipate it was going to end like this?
Yes.
Before you come to that, is Cynthia indecisive?
No, she's not. And I'll explain why. I think what she did is to indicate that although she's going independent, and in fact she has gone independent because she has filed the processes with the EC, the party NPP has not expelled her. Just as
all right. So hold your horses. Let me get to the phone lines. Let's have a conversation with Dr. Kwesi Amache on this development. Doc, thank you so much for joining us this evening.
You're welcome.
Fantastic. So, I mean, today Parliament was recalled. For some political scientists I spoke to, they anticipated that things would get better from what happened the other time. But it looks like we saw a repetition, rather. Were you surprised by the turnout of events in Parliament today?
Well, but for the engagement that the Speaker had with the media yesterday, one would have been surprised. But, following yesterday's engagement, we got an understanding that, things were not properly sorted out at that level, and that if anything were to happen, then it will have to happen between the two political parties. But, as it is with our politics, generally in Ghana's political history, and particularly in the Fourth Republic, the relationship between the two political parties have not been that of a situation where they explore possibilities to serve the interests of the nation. The parties have always been there to serve their own interests. So given that understanding and the nature of our politics are necessarily conflictual, then definitely, I did not really expect anything new, to happen. I'm not at all surprised about what has happened today.
Right. But looking at how things have panned out, now one of the clear persons who is of interest is the Speaker, because the NPP side keeps accusing the Speaker of doing the bidding of the NDC. And looking at all the entrenched positions that have been taken by both sides and all, how do you think we can navigate this? And do you see an end to this in the short term?
An end to this. Of course, we've got to find a way out. Society is there to address conflict, and politics is itself, undergirded by conflicts, and then we move away from conflictual positions and make room for cooperation, consensus, some sort of understanding, so that we can move forward. But then, once we are in this, a game of blaming one another, then we will not be making a headway. We'll not be making a headway. Why are we blaming the Speaker? When he hasn't got the numbers to work with, what exactly is he expected to do? Is that something that can be blamed on him?
Well, they accuse him. In fact, when you listen to Apanyo Markin this afternoon, he said that, per communication he received, Speaker was supposed to tell the NDC MPs to move to the other side. He was supposed to have done that, and that was the assurance given.
Okay.
But Speaker did not do that, and so Speaker is complicit. In fact, in his words, Speaker is setting the country on fire.
In that case, that might be a legal issue that some of us in politics don't understand. In the situation of the current Parliament, when is he supposed to make that communication? Is it when Parliament has not been in session? My understanding is that he has not had the opportunity to make that communication, if he's going to make it at all. The last time round, when they sat, the numbers were not there, and this time round the numbers, the same. The numbers were simply not there. I don't know. Otherwise, maybe we need to be educated on this issue again. But then there's this other angle that I think we should explore. Maybe the Supreme Court working speedily to let us know exactly what the interpretation of those two constitutional provisions should be. What about that? If you ask me whether we're going to see an end in sight, I think that should be the end.
Right. The Supreme Court's ruling.
To speak authoritatively to that issue. They should sit and tell Ghanaians that, look, we have been mandated by the Constitution to address issues of this nature. So here we go. We sit down, tomorrow we come out, this is what those provisions ordinarily politics and law, the law, politics and institution, they don't have to come into conflict. They influence one another. Ordinarily, they don't have to come into conflict. They influence one another. And that time when the Chief Justice spoke, we all heard her. She spoke authoritatively and established the fact that the Supreme Court reserves the mandate to act in particular capacities when the situation arises. That's okay. They should proceed to, finalize the whole thing speedily.
Right.
I think that is the crux of the matter. All these other issues playing out, fine, the suspension, has anybody flouted that the status quo ante should prevail when Parliament sits? And that if Parliament sits, and it's the duty of the Speaker to speak to that issue. I don't know, yesterday the Speaker suggested that it's not necessarily the one to ensure the arrangement of, the sitting arrangement of Parliament.
Yes, the clerk handles
that. Let's assume that is the situation. And then he, is duty bound to make the proclamation that, look, following the ruling of the, if you like, I'll call it the preliminary ruling of the Supreme Court. Now, we operating, with the status quo ante. The MPP is the majority, the MDC is the minority. I think this can come about when they are seated and in session. I think this is what we should expect.
Right.
I don't know what happened. Who were in Parliament today and who were not there and why. I don't think these are issues that can be blamed on the Speaker.
Okay. And so, finally, what would you make of the posturing of the NPP MPs? Because they refuse to actually be a part of anything that has to do with Parliament until, in their estimation, the Speaker does the right thing.
The opportunity for the Speaker to do the right thing, I think, is not there to the extent that the NPP MPs desire to stay out of Parliament. The opportunity for the Speaker to speak to that issue. But I like to believe that we shouldn't really focus our attention on what should be the situation in Parliament following the initial ruling. I think we should be focusing on the ultimate ruling, the ultimate interpretation.
From the Supreme Court?
Definitely.
Okay.
I don't think the Supreme Court is interested in working in halves and leaving this issue hanging and stuff like that. I don't think they are interested in that.
Right. Well, Doc, thank you. Thank you so much. We appreciate your time this evening, sir. Fantastic. That's Dr. Kwesi Amachibuata, and he is a political scientist. Ibrahim Alassan is still with us here in the studio. Ibrahim, now you were talking about Cynthia Mamle Morrison.
Yes.
And how, her posturing today.
My observation, indecisiveness.
Yes. So the engagement that happened the last time, after which we saw pictures, and of course many people were misled to conclude that they had rescinded their decision. Kodjo of Suhum and then Cynthia Mamle Morrison, ostensibly was to portray some semblance of unity and still being part of the majority caucus or the NPP, because the narrative had been that as a party, a decision had not been taken to expel these two, even though the Constitution says automatic forfeiture. To them, there are other clauses in the Constitution that will even allow them to waive that punitive measure.
Interesting.
And so today, what Cynthia Mamle Morrison did, and especially given the fact that some NDC MPs had asked where the four MPs were, if indeed they believe that the Supreme Court's decision quashes whatever announcement the Speaker made, then how come they were not in Parliament? And that's how come Cynthia Mamle Morrison was displayed before us. She was displayed before us to indicate that, yes, that narrative that none of the four MPs came cannot be true. So that's it. She's still going as an independent candidate. If she wins, she will enter parliament not on the ticket of the NPP. She will enter parliament, there's a 9th parliament as an independent NP. Right. Same with Kodjo Asante. But because it's the numbers game, and listeners must understand what the NPP is doing, or the majority caucus in parliament is doing. We have a measure to punish anybody who decides to abandon the party and go independent. But this time around, we need them. We cannot afford to trigger that. That is the crux of the matter.
It's all about the numbers.
Yes. Because if we trigger, the consequences will be that we go to minority, the other side comes to the majority. And we all know the implications. Hey, aside anything controversial, I can tell you that almost all the businesses on the agenda that demanded a recall of parliament, the only one that could hit a stumbling block will be the tax waivers. Aside that, all the others, it doesn't matter where NDC sits, it doesn't matter where MPP sits. As far as there's a speaker in the chair, the businesses will be transacted.
The free SHS bill,
everything,
which the majority are accusing the minority of being afraid of, and that's why all of this is happening.
And this, we've been here before, relative to the free SHS bill, right? And the demand was that, where's the bill? Bring the bill and let's pass it. So if anything at all, right, passing the free SHS bill and getting presidential assent, right, will afford the NDC the opportunity to say that you cannot say we'll cancel it because we were in parliament when it came and we passed it. You get the point? Yes. So what's happening is that I from yesterday's speakers engagement, I felt if there had been further engagement between yesterday to this morning before 10 a.m.
we could have avoided
this. We could have easily avoided this. The clerk indeed took the initiative to decide which sides to sit. So the name tags of the NPP members of parliament were fixed at the right side of the speaker. And that was supervised by the clerk.
Right.
That of the NDC MPs were fixed at the left side of the speaker.
So what happened?
The NDC MPs, who were convinced in their mind that speaker had not made a pronouncement, reversing the announcement he made. So to them, it is the speaker that's the empire, as far as rudiment of parliamentary business is concerned. Until they hear from the speaker that the 4 people that are sent away can now return in peace.
Forget it.
Exactly. And yesterday, Governor Kodjo made that abundantly clear to all of us when he addressed the media. Good. Today, the one who gave us an indication as to what exactly happened was the Assistant Central MP, Kennedy Ohene Japan, and one-time flag bearer aspirant of the NPP. He mentioned that there was a caucus meeting of the NPP caucus. They were in the meeting for quite some time. Unfortunately, they didn't have access to a television to witness what was happening in the chamber. So they could not even tell that speaker had taken his seat. When they realized, they then sent him with a delegation that go to the chamber. And mind you, when I say go to the chamber, this is a makeshift chamber, the Grand Arena. And then the officers are in job 600, where the previous chamber of parliament used to be, which is now under renovation. So by the time he got there, he realized that sitting has started. And that the NDC MPs had taken the right side of the speaker.
Which is supposed to be where they are to sit.
Great.
Interesting.
So he then said, let's then return. Unfortunately, they had not informed speaker of the caucus meeting. So speaker was blindsided. Speaker did not know why the MPP MPs were not in the chamber. And he concluded that what happened in 1973 had repeated itself. But of course, what I mean is that what happened the last time? Had repeated itself, and that they had boycotted.
So they had a meeting.
They had a caucus meeting.
But they also knew they were supposed to be in parliament at time.
And they were supposed to inform the speaker about their caucus meeting. Kennedy Japan. Here I'm quoting. But unfortunately, speaker was not aware of the caucus meeting. And so speaker then concluded that the NPP side had boycotted proceedings. And he said, okay, first of all, we don't have business to transact.
You triggered a recall.
Exactly.
Now we are here.
And you are not here.
And we have a quorum, but then there's no business.
Exactly. And the NDC MPs do not have business. They don't.
No.
Their only business is probably return to their constituencies and campaign. Right? And so regardless of where you were seated, and that's what I felt should have happened. See, some individuals from the MPP should have been in the chamber.
Okay. Well, we have Dr. Rashid Rahman from Asepa and Tutuwaa.
Doc, thank you very much for your time this evening. Yesterday, I don't want to say you prophesied, but it looks as if you did. You told us to brace ourselves up for what was going to happen in Parliament. And finally, we saw what happened. Are you disappointed?
Very, very disappointed because I was hoping to be proved wrong. I was hoping that some backroom diplomacy had gone on so that we can get our honorable members at least to come to some kind of middle ground so that the business of the House can take place. Unfortunately, that was not to be the case, and I think we are still in the realm of legalities. Until we move away from that, I'm not too sure whether very much can be accomplished between now and when we go to the polls.
But how would you describe the NPP's posture? Because in all of this, they initiated the process for a recall in Parliament. It was finally granted, and they decided that the Speaker hadn't done what they expected him to do, and so they were going to boycott Parliament and undertake a caucus meeting on the blind side of the Speaker. How would you describe their posturing?
Well, I don't know how you know whether a Speaker has done what you want until you show up in the House. So I would have thought that a strategy by the MPP would have been one where they will show up in the House. If the NDC has taken what they believe is their rightful place, they go and sit on the other side and then perhaps raise the issue about what happened before and what the Supreme Court said, so that we would hear then what the Speaker has to say. Yesterday, I think I heard their Deputy Whip, Honorable Abib Idrisu, who indicated that during the Speaker's press briefing, he refused to answer some of those questions, i.e., the issue about the Supreme Court's decision about the stay and so on. So I honestly would have thought that a good strategy, given that they recall Parliament, a good strategy would have been they show up, take whatever seat was available if the other side had gone to take their seat, and then maybe push the Speaker and then let's hear him. And then maybe after that, then maybe they can decide what to do. But even without showing up, without coming into the chamber, so I don't know whether some conversations had taken place, because the Right Honourable Speaker said there was no business committee meeting. So I don't know where the conversation took place that maybe they agreed on something that the Right Honourable Speaker did not do. So very, very bad strategy, I think, in my opinion.
Okay. We understand the NPP wants to trigger another recall. Really? Is that the way to go?
No, honestly, no. I think they should spare us before they trigger another recall. I honestly think that they should make sure that the backroom work has been done. And when I say backroom here, talking about the need for the two sides to really sit down and agree that now we are going into the chamber and this is what has been agreed upon, so that everybody will be on the same page. But using the law, maybe for what is becoming clearly a political issue, will not take us very far, and we will just keep losing time. So, when they trigger a recall, there's a certain period of time, and the Right Honourable Speaker can say, okay, I'm going to use the maximum time, maybe if it is 1 week or 2 weeks before I recall Parliament. And we are already getting deep into November. And so So they really have to think carefully about this. And the other thing is, look, I believe irrespective of where you sit, if there's really government business that needs to be done, and already they've been doing business, they've been negotiating, they've been having some compromises. Perhaps, maybe for the sake of getting their business done, maybe they should show up and take a seat in the House.
Now, Afenamakin says that in the next few hours, they are likely to engage the Speaker on consensus building. Is this coming in a little too late?
So this is what should have been done a long time ago. However, it's not too late. I think this is what some of us have been calling for over and over again. And I really believe that this is the time. If we miss this moment, then I think we are cutting it very tight. So I commend the leader for that. I think that this is what should have been done a long time ago. I believe the Right Honorable Speaker is open. I don't think he has closed his mind to frustrate the business of the House. I don't think so. If both sides show up and they have gone to have some agreement, I believe the Right Honorable Speaker would come and do what constitutionally he's supposed to do, precise.
Now, yesterday, during our engagements, you clearly questioned the presence of the elders in this country. Are you surprised that, like the Christian Council, the Chief Imam, all the relevant authorities are pretty much silent on this development? Are you surprised?
Yes, I'm really very surprised. I'm very, very surprised. Surprised not maybe because they are silent, but surprised that maybe they didn't take this matter quite seriously and engage in continuous diplomacy until some solution was found. So I don't know whether it's too late, but now that, in conflict resolution, there is something we call timing. So if we are getting to a moment when it is ripe, because if now everybody is feeling the pinch and people are open for diplomacy, perhaps this might be the moment and a good timing when the elders can step in. I don't know what has prevented them from doing so, or whether they tried and they did not succeed. But it's quite disappointing, very, very disappointing, because these are important moments in the life of every country where those who have the moral authority show up and try to get people to reason up. It's all about egos. And I think that if we had leaders coming in and trying to get the two sides to sit down and talk, perhaps somebody might see reason. And perhaps if we don't get a complete solution, we could have gotten a solution that will work for this country and not work for any particular political party.
Doc, thank you very much for those inputs there. We've been engaging Dr. Rashid Rahman. He's the Executive Director for the Africa Center for Parliamentary Affairs. Kodjo and Ivy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he sounds disappointed. Yeah. He says he was looking forward to being proved wrong. Yeah. But of course, when it comes to Ghana and our parliament especially, this 8th parliament, nothing is surprising.
He has always maintained that this whole thing about going to the court anytime there's an issue, it makes no sense. It's pretty much uncomfortable because he insists that it sets a really bad precedent. He'd rather there's some sort of negotiations held between the two leaders, and at this time, that is when it is coming. How many days to elections?
That's 1 month exactly to elections, and the egos are out there.
Yes, I put the same question to leader, and it was answered by.
Please, which leader?
Okay, majority leader. I think you know, and I was saying this. I said that once the Supreme Court has returned 2 verdicts on this matter, right, that one stands until otherwise stated. So we've not even heard from the Speaker, and that's where the problem is. So, for instance, if sitting had continued with both sides in the House, regardless of where anybody is seated, and Speaker then, for instance, refers to whoever is seated at the right side as minority. Because Speaker cannot call you without referencing your position if you're a leader, right? And then refer to those who are seated on the left side as majority. So it can be done.
I think even yesterday he mentioned that,
exactly.
that it doesn't really matter who sits
He
where.
just
He decides,
honorable majority leader.
Exactly.
Regardless of what you
say. But I also understand the MPP caucus. See, it's all about the narrative and how it will be put out there. That within the lifespan of one particular parliament, you move from the right-hand side of the speaker, because in the Bible says, tomorrow, the hereafter, you will find Jesus Christ sitting or standing on the right-hand side.
Part of the Bible?
Yes, it's on the right-hand side of the Father.
Exactly.
Intervening and interceding for us.
Thank you. Thank you. So, everything right is biblical. You see? So therefore, you can understand the apprehension in that regard. Right. But, moving forward, until the Supreme Court then finally hands down a decision. And that's what Dr. Amati was saying. I think even the 11th is quite too far. You see, the swiftness with which the Supreme Court came in.
They can do it tomorrow.
That's about 4 days from now.
They can do it tomorrow.
It's very far.
They can do it
but
tomorrow.
of course, what we know for sure is that the MPs are returning. There is engagement with the Speaker. Alexander Kwame Afenyomakin mentioned that. If that fails, Article 1123 will cry again. Speaker will use 7 days, right, to inform members to return on the another 7th day, which will be 14 days.
And they will be in their constituencies.
Yes, you have to come back. You have to come back. So I asked that question about time.
Yes.
And Patrick Yaboam, a member of parliament for Okankwe Central, and then also the chairman for the finance committee, mentions that this parliament expires on the 6th of January
2025.
A very good reminder.
Really?
No, because I'm of the opinion that this parliament becomes useless after December 7th. It has always been the case. You want your own people to come, they won't come. In 2016, Mahama wanted his own MPs, NDC controlled majority, his own MPs to show up and then pass the right to information bill. They didn't mind him.
Right. All right. And so for those of you who are wondering, well, after if they don't come, cry is good. What recorded? Well, Mutala Mohammed has a response for you because he says that the MPs from the NPP side have caused financial loss to the country since more than 1 million cedis is spent on every single sitting of Parliament. Parliament's back. 1 million.
Take business. What use will it be for us to sit in this chamber when we can't take any decision? And in any case, there wasn't any decision to even be taken because we didn't even have order paper. The order paper will indicate the business that you ought to take when you have sittings, and the order paper is generated from the meetings of the business committee a day before the sitting or sometimes 2 days before the sitting. That order paper was not there because the MPP refused to participate in the business statement. This particular sitting was not called by the NDC. It was the NPP. So the question is, why did they waste all of us our time? It comes with a huge financial burden to the state. Because if I tell you, 1 day sitting, particularly in circumstances like this, Parliament would spend close to 1 million or more than 1 million Ghana cedis. All members of Parliament, our TNT would have to be provided. Imagine the number. I was in my concern. As a matter of fact, I went to my farm. I started harvesting my rice. And I had just 2 days to go to the farm and come and continue with my campaign. I had to cut short of my TV. And there are several MPs who were engaged in equally very important assignments. All those members of Parliament abandoned him and came to this chamber. Now, only for Honorable Katie Hammond to come and be attacking the Speaker. Do you now understand why? Some of us don't want to be addressed as honorable. Because the conduct of some of our colleagues are absolutely dishonorable. Absolutely dishonorable. They see the Speaker as just a punching pad. Anybody can attack the Speaker at any point in time. It simply doesn't make sense. So that explains why some of us don't want to be described as honorable. Frankly speaking, he came ostensibly to attack the Speaker. I was here when he was coming. He didn't come to enter into the chamber. He came knowing very well that the moment he comes here, the media would want to take his take. He came to attack the Speaker, and precisely what he did.
So you heard there, Murtala Mohammed, he is Tamale Central MP. And let's go for a quick break. When we return, we do have more for you on Starr today. Stay with us.
Dr. Baumia once said,
every constituency will get $1 million every year for rural and deprived communities. Under this program, there should be no village or community in Ghana after the first 2 years that would have a water problem or a toilet problem.
Next joke, please. Vote John Dramani Mahama for president. Trustworthy, honest, and reliable. Vote for change. Choose the umbrella. Vote John Dramani Mahama and the NDC.
The pandemic has had a generally deleterious effect on the economy of African nations. This has devastated many African economies and sunk them deeper into unsustainable debt and economic downturn.
Remember these words from former President Mahama. Now, as campaign season heats up, he is pointing fingers at the current administration. Is this not for political gain? Ghanaians deserve genuine solutions, not mere propaganda. We've faced global challenges together. Let's seek a leader who offers plans and progress, not just critiques. Let's build Ghana up, not tear it down. Vote number 1. Vote for Baumia. Vote for the MPP.
Starr today. First, fast, and credible.
You're welcome back from the break. This is still Starr today. Let's talk about the EC now, because the largest opposition NDC has justified its decision to reject the final certified voters register provided by the Electoral Commission. Now, this comes after the party returned the pen drive containing the register to the EC 24 hours earlier. Representatives of the party spent the night at the premises of the EC as they were unable to reach a consensus over the data provided by the parties. Now, according to the NDC, the failure by the election management body to provide a summary of voter statistics is an irregularity. The Electoral Commission has already asked for more time to release their voter statistics. Here is our EC Chair, Mensah.
That you want a summary, that's fine. But this is something we've been doing for since time immemorial, and we've not added summaries to it. And this is not the first time. In 2019, we gave out the soft copy of the register. In 2020, we gave out the soft copy of the register. In 2023, we gave out the soft copy of the register, and it did not have a summary. So the fact that there's no summary does not make it not certified. The register, as you see, as you have it, is a certified true copy of the register. If you choose to return it, that's your prerogative. You can do so. And this is a request you are making. It is not binding in law. It is not binding in law.
So that's EC Chair Jean Mensah. But the NDC has vowed to ensure that the voter statistics summary is added. Dr. Rashid Tanko Computer is Deputy Director of Elections and IT for the NDC.
Is that how you do things? And you are saying you are holding to ransom. You held the whole media and political party for ransom here for more than 6 hours. And they are talking about it. If they don't bring the ballot statistics or the voter statistics and the summaries, we are not going to take the register.
If the summaries are ready tomorrow, will you come back?
I said that's why we're here. We're here waiting for the summaries. They promised giving us the summary. We didn't put dagger on their neck to ask for the summary. If she knew that she was not obliged to give her the summary, she should have told us around 5 o'clock.
So have you returned the drive?
We've returned it. We have officially said we have returned the drive back to them until we get the summary. What is she talking about? I've been doing the election since 1988.
That was Dr. Rashid Tanko, the Deputy Director of Elections and IT for the NDC, and he's joined us over the phone lines now. Doc, thank you very much for joining us here on the Bulletin. Now, first of all, yesterday, you rejected the pen drive containing what the EC says is the data of the certified voters register. Why were you reluctant to receive the pen drive?
Yes, we rejected it because it was incomplete. It has no statistics, it has no summaries of the various registers in the pen drive. It's just a document, a bulky document, a stamp on it. And we thought that was not the party, and that is not the
a best practice. That was not the case. When they were giving us the provisional voter register at Alisa Hotel, was that how they did it? They made a presentation on the summaries in the register, and the provisional one. They made a presentation. They told us the total registered voters as at that time, and gave us breakdown of all the lists. In fact, property list, special voters list, exception list, transfer list, absent list, all of that. They gave us breakdown to the extent they even added as first-time voters, female voters, and men voters. All this breakdown was presented. All the media men, you were there, and you saw it. After that, then they now gave us the hard drives. That is the practice. That is what has been done. Any time we are doing a compiling register and talking of a final register, then yesterday you came to present a certified register now, because those ones you presented were provisional. So we're expecting that now that we have a final register, what are the figures? What figures are we dealing with? And that one, you need legal interpretation before you can get it. What is that?
Doc, contrary to what you're saying, that provision of the data has been a norm, the EC chair says that it hasn't been the norm since 1992.
Then she is not the norm. I'm telling you, you have been reporting election issues and all that. How do you report election issues if you don't have the figure? I'm asking you, you are a reporter. This evening, if somebody phone in and asks you, what is the total registered voters for this current certified register as issued by the Electoral Commission, what would be the figure will you mention? What figure will you mention to them? I'm asking you, a reporter. You are supposed to be telling the people, the general public. We attended a meeting and the political parties were given satisfied register. Yeah, we don't know the figure. Is that how we're supposed to be? Is that how the election is supposed to run? That is a bone of issue. In any case, when she's talking about that we are not obliged to give you because we are not bound by any law, don't they have ballot statistics they have generated from a provisional register and gave it to the printing houses for them to print ballot papers? Tell me which of the law, CI 91 and CI 127, whether you can see any ballot statistics on it, saying that you must generate ballot statistics before you print ballot papers. Where did they get it from?
So now the EC
we have difficulties in operating under the law of common sense in Ghana, because I don't understand this one.
Okay, now the EC chair is clearly asking for more time, and looking at the timeline from now to elections, what are you going to do about this?
We are waiting on them. We want to have it. They indicated they will bring this through, so we are also waiting on them.
But Doc, help us.
And they know that what we are asking for is a legitimate request. They know it. In any case, she promised she was going to give it to us. We should give her 1 hour. Ask your reporter. She held us to ransom for almost 7 hours. We were waiting for them, only for them to come back, and was yelling at us as if we were her small boys and girls. That was the kind of attitude she put up at the commission there.
Okay, but Doc, is the data so important that you'd have to wait for her?
It's important. It is as important as the register itself. We need it. They themselves, why are they dragging their feet on it? What is making it difficult for them? You have put a register together, you can't generate summaries of it. It means they themselves are not serious. They are just not serious, because a serious organization, this is a primary school statistics student can easily do. You are putting figures together, of course you are going to be generating. How many minutes? You are generating the total. And you know that when I finish, this is Greater Accra, this is the total registered voters for Greater Accra. These are female voters, and it's easy. You don't need a university graduate statistician to do this. But look at these people. Look at the huge money government has pumped into them. And they are producing these lackadaisical documents, and we are not taking them, we are not calling them out. We are rather harboring them with this rubbish.
Doc, briefly, when you took hold of the pen drive, did you personally check what was contained on the drive?
I didn't have my gadgets. They just gave me the drives over there. And because we had difficulties over this disagreement over the presentation of the summary, we return it back.
You see that? All right, Doc, thank you very much for your time this evening. I've been engaging Dr. Rashid Tanko Computer. He's the Deputy Director of Elections on IT of the NDC.
And it's quite curious. So is it the case that before they went to the Electoral Commission, they did not know what the agenda was?
Well,
because he says, well, they just give them the drives. He didn't have his device. And I'm wondering, is it that they didn't know? They didn't know why they were called to the Electoral Commission.
I want to believe otherwise, because I don't think the EC would just say that, oh, political parties, we are meeting all of you.
Yes.
And not states the reason why they want to meet.
But as to whether specifically they were told that when you come, we are giving you the data on the voters register. Because I didn't see any of the political actors there have devices to be able to check contents on a pen drive, and that's quite curious. But let's get on the phone lines. Let's have a conversation with Ni Amate on this development. Ni, thank you so much for joining us. So basically, this is where we are with the Electoral Commission, the political parties. The NDC says, you know what, you didn't give us a summary, for which reason, even though you say this is the certified voters register, we are not taking it. What is your take on this development?
I think, first of all, this is not strange, because we have had the experience of NPP, behaving the same way, in the past. So this is not anything strange. But what is strange to me is perhaps the language being used to communicate this kind of, grievances or this kinds of concerns. And I think we need to be very cautious the way we carry ourselves. Even in this brouhaha involving the political party, the NPP versus the speaker, you hear people throwing shots of vitriolic nonsense, and I think we should stop it, because people are learning from us and people are communicating the way we are communicating. The children are coming and they are learning from us. For instance, if I hear something like incompetent and criminally cooked EC, I think that is not good enough. And then again, EC is a crime scene waiting to be exorcised after the December election. I think
you said the EC is what, a crime scene?
That is what the NDC said. The NDC held a press conference, and as part of their concerns, they carried these insulting words as a means of making their voices to be heard. And I'm saying that is not good enough.
So all of this commentary paints the EC in a bad light, and necessarily will not have a good impact in terms of how the election turns out. That's what you believe?
That's what I believe. And I think whatever concerns the NDC has, the EC had listened to them and had responded to some of them. If you still have further concerns, and I'm sure they still have, because they are talking about forensic audit of the voter register. They're talking of submitting the findings of their concerns, and it to be subjected to forensic audit. Again, they are asking for a re-exhibition of the register after the forensic auditing. All of these things have been attended to and are still being attended to by the EC. I don't think whatever the EC said is necessarily the end of the game. If you still have more concerns, and even if the EC is not listening, let's get to the court. Don't turn the EC into a punching bag, rendering them as though they are an evil electoral commission, and they're going to be killed as soon as are over. Don't refer to them as incompetent and criminally cooked electoral commission. It is not a good language to hear.
So how do we go around this? Because mind you, we also have exactly 30 days to the elections, and now the political parties, per what is happening, do not have their true certified copy of the voters register, which is the primary document that they would also need to be able to basically track how things go in this election. And we want to deliver a very credible, event-free election. So how do we work this out?
I think this is a simple matter. Look, political parties have had issues with the EC, and in all of these, we had gone through a smooth election, although there are bumps on the road. What I'm saying in effect is that why can't the NDC go to court and force the register out of the hands of the EC? I mean, the court is there to do that for us. I want a credible register so that after the election, we know we've had a credible election. What I'm seeing now is some kind of calling a dog a bad name. And then eventually, the lesson that happens, we will throw the elections into, a bad situation. And that should not happen in Ghana. It should not. The NDC should go to court.
Very well. Ni, thank you so much for your time this evening.
Please, can I say this?
Yes, please.
Yeah, I mean, let's also have a bite of some of the juicy events passing us by. I mean, like the Speaker of Parliament versus the political parties. Let's have a juicy talk on that.
Oh, okay. We just had a full 60 minutes conversation on that on the show.
Oh, and you didn't let me have a bite.
So briefly, what's your bite? What's your take on that?
Well, I think Parliament was operating smoothly until Bagwin brought up the vacancy issue. Now, if we accept the Constitution as the #1 document of Ghana governing all of us, and we have also accepted the branch or the arm of government, which is the judiciary, as the interpreter of all our behavior, I think the Speaker should listen to what the Supreme Court said, to stay what he actually brought out, that is called, and have the issues, resolved.
Oh, I'm sure that in the coming days we'll call you specifically on Parliament's brouhaha and have a conversation. But thank you so much for your time this evening.
You're most welcome.
Fantastic. That's Nia Amate, political scientist, speaking to us on the issue with the NDC and the Electoral Commission with regards the certified voters register. Tutuwaa.
He says the NDC should go to court. I don't know how they are ready to do that.
Yeah, they don't have time. They don't have time
exactly.
for that. Yeah. Anyways, so we're just 30 days to Ghana's December 7 elections. Some homeless persons in Accra say they feel left out of the political process, focused instead on daily survival over casting a ballot. Now, many of them express a sense of disconnection from the electoral system as they struggle to find food, shelter, and security on the city streets. GH1 News and Starr News' Victoria Abugri has more in the following report.
Homeless is a daily struggle. At the Kwame Nkrumah interchange, commonly known as Circle, sleeping on the pavement is a familiar sight. But as the upcoming elections draw closer, will these individuals head to the polls? Some homeless citizens shared their thoughts, expressing skepticism that any government can truly improve the economy for the average Ghanaian. For many, survival, finding food and shelter is their top priority. The idea of voting, they say, feels distant and almost irrelevant. However, not everyone feels entirely disconnected. Some still feel a sense of responsibility to choose a candidate, albeit for reasons that may surprise you.
I'll vote for Baumia because what he has done to Ghana surprised me. That might surprise me because before you cannot send money through mobile phone to your parents, but now you can do all those things. The policy that he wrote is very important and it will help Ghana.
Others remain indifferent, saying they might wear a party t-shirt if given one, though that doesn't necessarily mean they will vote for that candidate.
Yes. Yes. NDC at time will be all. I have been my seat and I'm showing. Okay, me MPP now. Maka just me NDC, me MPP. Matthew Akora, area 2.
As election day approaches, the voices of Ghana's homeless citizens serve as a poignant reminder of the deep divide between politics and the everyday struggle for survival.
All the poor economy, that's why we come like this. Because if I vote for somebody, the person couldn't help me in this Ghana, what would this do? Because we are young boys, we are youth, we need work. Because what we eat, that's why we are here. I'm a citizen. I did my town, but I shouldn't get some places, I shouldn't get work to do. Since I vote 4 times. I vote for MPP. I'm an MPP candidate, but now I tire for them. Every day we sleep here. Some people think say we are mad because we sleep here. Because of the poor economy, that's why we sleep here.
For GH1 News, Victoria Abugu's reports.
So that's Victoria Abugu's report, read by Tutuwaa. Tutuwaa, you've not changed your name because I'm sure people will be like, is that not Tutuwaa's voice? Or she's also called Victoria Abugri.
No, I'm not Victoria Abugri.
But the people, the ghetto youth are really sharing their thoughts.
And they have an opinion. It looks as though, like, over the years, there one section that we tend to overlook. Let me just say because we tend to overlook. We don't ask them how they feel even about the manifesto promises,
how does it inure to their benefit and all? Do they see themselves in it?
They just feel neglected. And as he said, people think they are mad, but they are not.
Meanwhile, something is happening in the Western region.
Very interesting. And mixed reactions have greeted the unveiling a statue in honor of President Akufo-Addo. Yesterday, President Akufo-Addo, in the company of the Western Regional Minister Kwabena Okyere Mensah, unveiled the statue himself, located at an intersection near Efia. Now, the Western Regional Minister explained the statue erected to recognize President Akufo-Addo's contributions to infrastructural development in the region. However, this did not go down well with critics who said this was unnecessary at this point in time. But what do residents make of this? Let's take a listen to what he had to say.
Akufo-Addo deserves it, even though he has done a whole lot for the country, Ghana, Takoradi as a whole, or Western region as a whole. But then there are some things where he couldn't fulfill his promises, where he said he'll be doing one district, one factory, one village, one dam. I think Western region haven't received ours. So the statue is quite cool, but I think it wasn't that okay for us. Because if you look at the past president who has come and gone, let's take Kufuor for example. He didn't do statue because even though he did well, but Akufo-Addo's own, some will say it's okay, but some will say it's not okay.
Kwame Nkrumah there, it was a BC, a year, say business is a candy, so I'm a friend say about one statue, there more too many there.
Oh, Akufo-Addo deserve there or the statue will be because of a great man, or a penny or so. No more will be asking and I've been there, or the more hammer and I'll be
Right, so you've heard the one in the Mobium during your Nigerians or the Mohama Beko. But let's have a conversation with Dr. Frederick Kodjo on this particular one. Doc, thank you so much for joining us. So, mixed reactions to the president unveiling a statue of himself. People feel, well, the timing is wrong. Others say this is in the right direction. Really doesn't matter.
Well, I don't see the relevance of this at this time. Ordinarily, presidents, monuments are raised in honor of presidents, usually after they've left office. I mean, few months or few weeks to the end of the tenure. I don't see the importance of this. And in any event, if you look at the history of the Efia Hospital, this is a colonial relic. It was established in the 1930s, the late 1930s, originally as a military hospital for, military personnel returning from the Second World War. And over the years, it was, a lot more was added to it and it became a referral hospital for the region, for the Western region. Yes, I do concede under President Akufo-Addo, quite a lot has been done for that hospital.
Right.
But I'm asking myself, this is an old hospital. A colonial government established hospital. Why do we put the statue of the president there. I think this was not very necessary.
Because, I mean, when you listen to the Western Regional Minister, I mean, he says this is to recognize the president's contribution, not just to the hospital, but to infrastructure in the Western region.
So let us pick an infrastructure that is directly linked to his cabinet.
Right.
And there could be many. And let us also do it in a way that takes away the political coloration out of it.
Okay. So for you, is the positioning that is a problem?
You say?
For you, where it is located, where it was erected, it's a problem.
I mean, the point is that where it was erected, I mean, if we want to look at his signature projects, and there could be quite a number if we were to look carefully for it, but certainly not the Efia Hospital. I don't think if we are going to talk about the history of Efia, we say that the most deserving leader of this country whose statue should be put up there, I don't think we will say it should be President Akufo-Addo.
Interesting.
That has got nothing to do with whatever he's done, either for the region or for the country.
Right.
I'm just trying to wrap my head around why Efia Hospital.
Right. Well, Prof, thank you so much, Doc, for your time this evening. That's Dr. Drake Kodjo speaking to us on the back of this. Well, this is Starr today on Star 103.5 FM. We'll be right back.
From the classroom to the lab, from the village to the city, the NPP's commitment to education is building a brighter Ghana. Free SHS isn't just about free tuition, it's an investment in Ghana's future. We have topped it up with free TVET and STEM education, skilled graduates, innovative thinkers, and a thriving economy. That's the promise of free SHS.
3 of my cousins have benefited from free SHS since 2017. One has graduated and is in nursing training. The other 2 are also in the university. I'll vote number 1. I'll vote for Baumia on December 7th.
We are building a better tomorrow through education. Vote NPP. Vote number 1. Vote Baumia. Baumia means business. Astro.
Starr today. Burst, fast, and credible.
You're welcome back from the break. Now, the Ministry of Food and Agriculture is urging young individuals to acquire farmland in order to benefit from the free inputs for our cultivation program. The program aims at providing easy access to necessary equipment to make farming more attractive and profitable. Deputy Minister of the Ministry, Yao Frimpong Adu, made these remarks during an inspection tour of the Ghana Exim Bank's Farmers Market, a precursor event to the 40th National Farmers Day. There are more details in this report.
The agricultural sector to the gross domestic product in 2023 stands at 21.1%. To increase the percentage and create more jobs, the government, under the Planting for Food and Jobs Phase 2, is making free provisions of farm input for anyone who acquires farmland to venture into large-scale farming.
There's so much in store for farmers in this country, especially the young ones. Under this Planting for Food and Jobs Phase 2, we said that just look for your land, and that's it. That's all. When the land is registered, any input that you require to become a farmer will be given to you under this project. And this is private sector driven. We are just facilitating everything from Exim, MedDB, all those people, to put together some money for an aggregator to come to your farm X, and say that your farm is 20 acres, you are producing maize, you require 5 bags of improved seed to cultivate. They will give it to you.
The Deputy Chief Executive Officer responsible for banking at the Ghana Exim Bank, Rosemary Beryl Acha, congratulated all farmers for their continuous contribution to the Ghanaian economy and underscored the importance of financial institutions providing facilities for farmers for value addition.
On an occasion such as the National Farmers' Day, we decided to celebrate the farmer because we are agents for the government's industrialization. So today, if it's Farmers' Day, we are taking the opportunity to congratulate all farmers and fishermen. We are assuring them that Ghana Exim Bank, the board, executive management, and all staff, as well as our clients, are behind them. We are behind them to support them with advisory services, with the facilities they need to grow and further develop.
The 40th National Farmers' Day celebration is scheduled for Friday, 8th November 2024.
So tomorrow is Farmers' Day for 2024, but I'm not happy about it because challenge to no holiday.
No holiday.
No holiday.
I had made plans.
Hey, it's for Friday, a long weekend. Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Exactly.
Anyway, so those of you who are making plans for long weekends, Ghana has recorded over 34,000 new HIV cases from January to the third quarter of this year. Now, this was disclosed during the launch of the 2024 World AIDS Day, organized by the Ghana AIDS Commission, which included a solemn candlelight procession in memory of those who had lost their lives to AIDS. Here's Director General of the Ghana AIDS Commission, Dr. Tutuwaa, speaking on the new infections.
The diagnosis is done routinely in the health facilities every day. And so over the last 9 months, that is from January to September, more than 1.3 million people were tested. And out of that number, we have more than 34,000 who tested positive for HIV. HIV infections in the country mainly through sexual contact. So you have sexual transmission accounting for estimated 80% of all HIV infections or transmission in the country. 15% through mother-to-child transmission, and 5%, through other modes of transmission, like use of contaminated showers. And so sexual transmission is the main transmission route, and the reason for large numbers of infections is because of sexual risk that is quite prevalent among Ghanaians.
That's Dr. Tutuwaa. He is the Director General of the Ghana AIDS Commission. Tutuwaa.
Well, some Ghanaians have shared the measures they are taking to prevent themselves from getting infected.
I use sanitizer. What I do, I need to sanitize my hands because I hold different types of people, their legs, bodies, and other stuff. I need to protect myself. I need to protect my client. So for my client to feel safe, I need to sanitize my hands. After sanitize my hands, after that, I wash my hands before going to the next time. That's how I keep myself.
Personally, what I do to protect myself not to be infected with the virus is one. Because if you have one partner, I think it's fine if you are of the age and ready for it. Then start getting yourself tested regularly. Yeah, within every 4 months, 6 months, I think it's good. And then those using those pedicures now must be very sterilized before you use it. Those having their such as my own, that's very down that. So using those sharp shaving tools need to be very sterilized before you use it.
Total abstinence, and also avoid sharing sharp objects that can lead to transmission of the disease. That's the precautions I take to prevent HIV, because we know that there's no cure currently. It's only treatments that you can go to. So the best thing for me is abstinence.
All right. So for those of you who have attained different tags, some of you are calling yourself King Solomon of our time. Well, listen to Dr. Tutuwaa.
Most people are involved in it, and we do not have the discipline to engage in sexual activities in a responsible way. People have multiple sexual partners, and yet they will not use protection. They will not use condoms. And
Right. So Dr. Tutuwaa has said it. Those of you who have multiple sexual partners, you need.
The Balthazars.
I dissociate myself from that. I
You
don't
are
know.
with me on this.
I dissociate, Tutuwaa. I dissociate myself from that.
The
Whatever
comments
you
have
are
changed
saying,
how
Tutuwaa,
your
I
dissociation.
dissociate myself. So protect yourself, and it's ABC, abstinence, and then
That's 400
be
girlfriends.
faithful.
Did you hear?
Your microphone is off, Tutuwaa. Or then protect yourself. Condom news and put on the condom. Please let's be safe out there.
It's not about singing.
Tutuwaa, let's be safe out there. Ladies and gentlemen, that's how I wrap up the bulletin right here on Star today, here on Star 103.5 FM. There's more news for you at starfm.com.gh. And of course, please, when you're out there, make sure you protect yourself
And don't have 400 girlfriends like Kodjo Mensah.
All right, so please, and you know what? Just don't do what I would not do. Stay away from the fizzy drinks. Let's make sure that we live healthy, happier lives. I am Joshua Kodjo Mensah. And Tutuwaa, just mention your name.
I am Tutuwaa Danso.
Bye bye. So that's how we are saying bye bye for today.